Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I have a special guest, which was a last-minute addition, and I am absolutely thrilled to welcome Greg Danzig of Charge.com, and he'll be giving us a short presentation on types of credit cards and merchant services, and hopefully save you a lot of money. My name is Michael Price. I'll be the presenter today. Again, thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk about credit card processing and credit card acceptance with the government. And it's actually called the GSA Smart Pay program. Currently we are wrapping up SmartPay 2, which had 3 banks, and moving into this year, I'm guessing probably sometime during this fiscal year, which started yesterday, would be SmartPay 3, and there will only be 2 financial institutions involved. Let's get the introductions out of the way. I'll let Greg introduce himself when his few slides pop up on the screen here shortly. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in, and I will stop whatever I'm doing or whatever Greg's doing, and we'll answer the questions for you. Those of you who have been here before know that I am a service-disabled Vietnam vet, which equated to one word means, yes, I'm old, but that's okay. I am the oldest GSA consultant. Been around since some guy named Father Time started. I've worked on the beta team at GSA, and unfortunately, like most companies that start a beta program, the folks that are asking us to test and break don't listen, so you get what you get. It's not my fault, sorry. I try to give back to the community. I was very fortunate in 1986 and had the pleasure of sitting down knee to knee with a gentleman who is now a behemoth in the IT world, Michael Dell. And it was fun for a few years. And then he graduated, and like most of them do, they forget who, as the folks say, brung them to the party. So, but the bottom line out of all of this is experience matters. I've been around far too long, or probably not long enough, but I'm going to stay until they put me underground. That I promise you. Today's agenda, what you can expect. We're going to learn about the SmartPay program from both your side as the vendor and from the government side, so you understand when an issue arises, why it's happening and what your remedies are. Why is credit card acceptance mandatory? You can't do business without the government unless you have 2 items in your toolbox. One we did a few weeks ago, SAM. Without a SAM record, you can't get a contract, you can't do business, and you can't get paid. Without a credit card, you cannot, or being able to accept credit cards, I should say, you can't do business with the government unless you agree to accept cards below the micro purchase threshold of $3,500. I'm sorry, why wouldn't you accept a credit card for $1 million? Cost you the same per dollar. That's what Greg will talk about shortly. And how all this can benefit you. What is a SmartPay account? A lot of people believe that it is a form of contracting. It is not. It's a purchase account used by the government. They have a choice. You can invoice them. They will take their time paying you. But if your terms are net 30, they have to pay you within the 30 days. Otherwise, Treasury will automatically add interest onto the check that they send you, or the wire transfer, or the ACH clearing. Second part, it is the preferred method of payment for government employees. They can't go shopping for shoes, so they go shopping for multi-million-dollar computer products. They get their shop on, if you will, They are procurement and payment, not a contracting method. I tell all of my clients over the years and probably in the coming years, always try to get the credit card when you receive an order. When the government's placing an order, get the card, get it paid. Show me the money. Let's go to the government side. I got a dispute. I'm Department of Homeland Security, and Greg just sold me some widgets, and he used his credit card to pay for it. Or actually, I used my credit card to pay for it. I like his better, but let's use mine. According to the contract, the card holder, that would be me, is responsible for notifying Greg's bank that there's a dispute. And if I fail to do it, guess who ends up paying for it? Me. And I will tell you, in all the time that credit cards have been pushed as the mandatory payment for micro purchase threshold payments, I have yet to hear of one dispute, one problem, one issue, nothing. And I don't anticipate seeing that happen anytime soon. What about order cancellation? First of all, when I negotiate a contract, I don't care whether it's GSA, VA, or pick one, any acronym you want, the vendor, contract holder, most of them have a order cancellation procedure. In fact, we are required to submit that. How does the government cancel an order? It could be, thank you very much, we're sorry it didn't work out, or there's 25% restocking or 5% restocking or whatever. They work that out in the beginning so the government knows when they place that order whether it's cancelable or not cancelable. What about returning a purchase? Just like Amazon, which is very easy to do. Point, click, shoot, ship. They vary by the merchant. This is all based on the merchant. This is the government speaking. By the way, all of this will be in your slides, which you can download off the view and make sure that the handout is checked. Just click on the link and it will download the slides for you. Is the merchant, that would be you, allowed to copy a SmartPay charge card? Well, first of all, I'm going to guess probably better than 90 to 95% of the time, you're never going to see nor are you ever going to touch a government purchase card unless you happen to have a company that has retail stores near a military installation or government installation or something where you might have somebody as a walk-in. I don't think you're going to see it. Very carefully, Visa, MasterCard allow you to photocopy the charge card as long as you do not copy the PIN or the verification code. But then on the other side, again, inconsistency. Title 83 of Federal Code says it's illegal for you to photocopy your government ID, not your charge card. This one, I have to admit, 100% honestly, I did not know you could do this. Even though I had a guy years ago, I set up a PayPal account for him, or he actually set it up so he could get awarded, but I just figured they wanted to see a merchant account. I have no idea if he ever did business with it. According to what I'm reading here, you can use your PayPal account on your own shopping cart. Question is, how are you going to get the buyers to your shopping cart, and how can you make sure that I, as a non-contract holder, can't go to your government shopping cart and get government pricing? Then you have a problem. Then my phone starts ringing. I've been audited. What can I do? What do I do? How do I do it? We can help you there. Anything that you see here in orange is a link in your slides which will take you directly to whatever the text is referring to, so I don't have to do a lot of explanation. Again, this is the government speaking. We have the SmartPay Master Contract. SmartPay 2, which we are now completing, was created in 2007. Had 3 banks, Chase, Citibank, and US Bank. This year, and I'm assuming that they say by this year, meaning October 1st, which was yesterday, SmartPay 3 Master Contract went into effect and knocked out 1 bank. Citibank and US Bank are the only 2 left. That doesn't mean anything to us. All we know is that if the buyer's got a credit card, we're happy campers. That's all that matters. I was tossed on how to put this particular slide together. Those of you who are hard of seeing, like me, either blow the screen up or don't worry about it, because in the handouts is the full size version of the graphic that I'm going to go over very quickly. Let's talk about statistics. I love statistics. Now, of course, whoever did this didn't do the greatest job of color coordination. When you've got black on red, you can't see it too well, but it says purchase. And that's fiscal year 16 and 17, respectively, left to right. Total spend for 17 was basically $19 billion. It was down a little bit from 16. Number of transactions. That's a lot of account holders. 300,000 government workers hold a credit card. Then travel, unless you're in the travel field, we're not worried about it. The fleet field, unless you're in the automotive section, forgive me, we're going to skip right by it. But the total spend, almost $29 billion in 2017 fiscal year. Tell me the economy's in bad shape. No way. Without further ado, I want to bring on Greg Danzig, founder and CEO of Charge.com, right here in beautiful sunny South Florida. And Greg, if you're unmuted, I'm going to flip to your first slide and let you take over.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. First, like Mike said, we have been around a very long time, since 1995. I am a co-founder of the company. I've been doing this a little bit too long, but I'm hanging in there with it, and but still really enjoy it. And it's been a great journey to watch the evolution of the credit card processing industry from pretty much its infancy back in the mid-90s. First, I wanted to go over the methods, what we call products, but they're really the methods that you would use to accept credit cards and GSA purchasing cards. We normally break it down into approximately really 3 main groups of merchant types. One is your traditional retail terminal or face-to-face environment, whether it be a shoe store or a restaurant or a hotel, where you're standing face-to-face with a clerk, and you're paying with a card, and they're actually inserting it into a card reader. That's one type. The second type would be the card not present environment, where you're doing an internet transaction. Someone's at your website using a shopping cart or some kind of custom integration. Additionally, you would get a virtual terminal. So if someone calls you over the phone with a credit card number, or they fax in an order, or they send in a mail order, then you'll be able to key in that transaction all very securely using SSL encryption. And then lastly, there's a mobile processing solution, which is similar to the retail terminals that I first mentioned. The main difference being that it's fully mobile, usually interfacing with a smartphone or tablet. There are also cellular-based wireless terminals available. And that's Those are the three. There's always exceptions, but those are the three main ones. Now, getting into government purchasing cards. Um, First, as Mike pointed out, GSA vendors are required to accept GSA cards. And Charge.com fortunately specializes in GSA card processing, which very importantly includes level 3 processing, because that ensures you get the lowest possible rate. Level 3 is very important to the government because what happens is when the merchant accepts a GSA card, if they include the level 3 data in their transaction, then they're going to feed that to the credit card companies, and then the credit card companies are going to feed it to the government. So the government's going to get a very detailed report on what was purchased with that transaction. And if that's why they really want you to do level 3 for these transactions.
Greg, I got a question.
Sure.
How many companies, how many merchant or ISOs, independent sales organizations like yourself, how
Yes.
many actually do level 3 processing?
Well, it's hard for me to put a number on it, but I can tell you that a lot of the prominent solution, card not present solutions out there, specific gateways, do not support level 3. So if you're not using a level 3 certified gateway solution, or virtual terminal or web integration, or however it is, if the gateway itself, which is the name of the cloud-based software that runs the transactions, if that is not set up for level 3, you're not going to be able to get the best rates. You're basically going to pay extra to Visa and MasterCard because they charge basically penalties or surcharges if you do not send level 3 data.
That's good to know, because that also, aside from getting better rates or the lowest rates for processing, it also probably protects the vendor. And I'm addressing everybody out there as the vendor, whether you have a contract or not. Government contractor, vendor, all the same thing for purposes of this discussion. So the key is protect yourself. We work too hard for our money, so why let it slip away because of a clerical error? So level 3 is something that's required, and at least where we are. We also require AVS 15. Can you take a moment and describe what AVS 15 is, Greg?
Sure. Yeah, AVS 15 is where you're doing AVS, but you're also sending 15 pieces of data. So it's a very high level of authentication on
What
a
does
credit card.
AVS stand for?
Address verification service. So what you're doing is, I'm sorry?
I knew that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, so you're doing you're verifying the address, and it's a 15-point verification process, and that helps weed out fraudulent transactions. It keeps
So what you're telling
Visa and
me,
everybody happy.
if I'm processing AVS 15 and I'm sending level 3 data back, what's my chances of a dispute or a chargeback?
Well, you're in luck if you're accepting a GSA card because there are no chargebacks.
Oh yeah, I remember somebody telling me that one time.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the beauty. What's one of the best things about accepting GSA cards? Because if you're just doing a regular credit card, especially in the card not present environment, there's always a chance that you can have an unhappy customer or a fraudulent customer who are going to be able to dispute that charge, or the true cardholder in that case would dispute the charge. So this is one of the safest ways to accept payments, period, for a merchant.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first from the guy that specializes in it.
And just getting into some of the integration options, we have several gateway solutions to ensure compatibility with the vast majority of shopping carts on the market. So if you have one of these big shopping carts like WooCommerce or Magento and several others, or many others, it should be a turnkey integration where you simply just set a setting on the drop-down menu in your shopping cart, and that's really all it takes. There's no programming involved. You don't need to hire a programmer. It's really just plug and play. when you're using a shopping cart that's it's a pre-integration that's already been done with the vast majority of shopping carts.
Wonderful. Folks, any questions? Let me see, I got one here. Well, the standard, always somebody asking, and I try not to commercialize it, but gosh darn it, I have to do it. We'll come back to that question as soon as you finish your. I think you have one slide left, Greg.
Okay, yeah, and just getting to the other type of integration is into like a website environment is going to be a custom integration, which is basically a full API integration. So all vendors / merchants will receive all the information they need to give to their developer or programmer to do a fully custom integration if that's what they want to do. Most vendors don't do that, but it's here if you want to do something custom.
Well, it's always nice to go a little bit over and above and beyond, because then that brings back referrals. Just a quick side note. How many folks are using, or first of all, how many folks have a website? And I already know for a fact that more than 70% of the registrants at SAM do not have a website, or it's not published. And over 65% do not accept credit cards for anything. And I don't understand why. So can somebody please educate me as what the, I guess the, what's the word I'm thinking of here, the resistance to be able to accept a credit card, other than the fact that it's going to cost you a small portion, but you have your money before you even ship the order. Now, the question that was asked was, again, about GSA and VA contracts. Yes, we are doing it. Yes, we are having a summer special. Yes, it is really dirt cheap. And we're moving our way to that. Reporting and data management, Greg can talk about that, but I think the graphic speaks for itself. So as we move on, we have a special deal for you. We always do. It was also in the email that we sent you. So yes, we will be available to help you with your GSA and or VA contract. We have clients that get both. I have one client that has 4 GSA contracts and 2 VA contracts. I have no idea where he's getting all the people to work them. But number of coupons is limited for the summer, and when you're in South Florida, summer lasts a lot longer than it does up north. So, you know, summer is strictly what I call a fig Newton of your imagination. Was I supposed to say figment or fig Newton? Fig Newton I like better. But anyway, there's my humor for the day, folks. Any other questions? Well, here's a nice little surprise for you. Those of you who have downloaded your slides, and I know I'm going to get emails that say, I didn't download them. I'm telling you now, please click the link and download the slides and the graphic that we gave you before. Here's some links that'll help you. If you're interested in seeing more about Greg's presentation, the last link, get your credit card merchant account now. It'll take you right to Greg's website. And I'm going to tell you, I did research. For many years, I was with another merchant account provider, and it didn't quite work out. I did a lot of research and found that from what I could see, Donna, I see your question. I'll be there with you in a moment, my dear. And from what I'm seeing, Greg's company goes so far above and beyond what the regular merchant account providers say. Yeah, here it is. You accept credit cards. Have a nice day. That'll be $10 a month, please, for the statement. No, that's not what I see here. All right, Donna asks, you mentioned there are no chargebacks. I recall there was a 90-day guarantee mentioned on a previous slide. If the funds were not held and there is an issue, what steps does the government take to obtain the funds if there's no chargeback? The government will not do a chargeback. Now, there's the languaging and terminology, Donna, is totally confusing. For example, contractors use what's called back charge. I'm back charging you for what I paid you. Credit card companies and those of what I consider to be not so scrupulous PayPal call it a chargeback. They immediately pull the money and you have to answer the allegation, which makes it almost like you're guilty till you prove yourself innocent to be able to get your money back. PayPal takes 72 to 80 days to resolve it. Most credit card companies resolve it within 3 days. But I will tell you, based on the Visa MasterCard guidelines that were, last time I read them was 2009, and they had not changed as far as a couple of items, was if you buy something from me and use your credit card and you're not happy, the guidelines say you're supposed to try to work it out with the merchant first. That's where that 90 days came in. Work it out with the merchant. Okay. To also further your answer to your question, Donna, if we don't work it out between the government and the merchant, all the government has to do is push a button and takes the money back right out of your account. So they technically don't do an official chargeback. It's, I'm going to send Guido if you don't fix this order. I doubt if they say that, but it depends whether you're in a few of those states, if you know what I'm talking about. So hopefully that answers your question. But I will tell you that you must, or they must contact the merchant first to try to resolve it. If they can't, then they have, if it's Visa or Master, they have their bank, which in this case would be either Citi or US Bank, will call you and ask to help resolve it. They might even have the buyer on the phone. And I mean, I had this happen to me a few years ago where the bank called me from, I have no idea where, and said, well, your client says service is not rendered. I said, really? I said, I was stranded overnight in his town because of weather. And they went back and forth, and he finally came back to me on the line and said, we got nothing here, you're fine. He was just fishing to get a refund after I did all the work for him. So it happens. I've never seen it happen with the government. I've never heard of anybody even approaching that 90-day window with GSA. Thanks for the question, Don. I appreciate it. Anybody else, folks? We're going to actually finish on time, and I promised Greg we'd go over. So anybody ask a question just to make me go over time. I don't care. Donna, you're on a roll. Go ahead. I guess she's not going to help us this time. She got a very, very long-winded answer, which I generally try never to do, so apologize for that one. If no other questions, folks, we're going to end right on time. As always, it's been a pleasure. Greg, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
And look forward to many, many happy days for you folks once you've got your website set up and your credit card account set up. And we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And hopefully you all have a wonderful day today.